Okay, today we're looking at something a bit different, and for those of you who know, yes, I'm back at home. Explain that later to everybody, but all is good, and those who are a bit worried, it is all good. We're getting there. Okay, let's not make this about that. Let's make it about a Sansui AU3900 and a Sansui TU217. Now, we don't normally do vintage electronics, but I've been watching a fair bit of Pete's videos from Craigslist Hunter, and Pete has a store in Illinois, which hopefully, if COVID ever finishes, it'd be nice to go and visit and say g'day. He has a fantastic store with a lot of bits and pieces in it. I've just realised too, we've been cleaning the knobs. I still haven't put the last knob back on while I've been cleaning the knob. Give me a second for that one. Okay, doesn't that look so much better with the knob put back on? I'm in the kitchen, which is, as you know, my pseudo workshop when I'm not in one of my workshops. And Pete, if you check out my videos, you'll find out that there are better spots for me to do these videos and to do these things and be able to fix these. But a lot of them end up in the kitchen, just for a bit of a look. People live in the country Victoria here in Australia, and it's a lovely spot out here. But anyway, all right. So this fires up perfectly, which is great. A couple of things that we'll probably do. Probably have a look at the dial lights just here. They're either very, very dim or they're very dead, which is no probs. Very easy to do. The 217 was a really nice Sansui. Made some great stuff, and you know, as you can see, I'm tuned onto a signal at the moment, and just using a hugely technical kitchen crocodile clip lead there. That just that's we're only the best when we're on the kitchen bench. But the 217, definitely desirable. Probably not huge bucks, you know. I mean, over here in Australia, more than in the US, Pete would see these for $50 every day of the week, you know, sort of probably get 65 from, I don't know. But it's a whole different market over there. And the AU3900 amp, once again, it's a nice collector piece for those that, you know, love old Sansui bits and pieces. I didn't actually get a chance to look up the dates of these, but being black, I would have thought early 80s. I don't think they would be in the 70s, but maybe I can do some research after and put something in the notes file. What I did want to show, and Pete, I noticed you do a lot of vintage stuff, and often the trick is to be able to, you know, whip it in, whip it out. Don't spend too much time with it. Now, your biggest friend is seriously a can of Deoxit D5, and Deoxit D5 is the best by far spray for this sort of problem here. All that scratchiness. Okay, now 9 times out of 10, when you get a client that comes in with something like this and it scratches away, you know, trust me, this is the best thing that can ever happen, because, you know, it depreciates the price of it because it shows that you have to do something to it. But the good news is that it's really simple to fix on 98% of them. You'll generally find if you've got a volume control that's a bit scratchy like this, you'll find also things like your speaker switch, they need a spray as well. Bass treble's pretty good. A little bit of noise on the treble, but not much. But normally the most used one, is going to be your worst. So basically most of these units, 4 screws on top. I've already taken them out, 2 screws on the side. Do tune them off and do unplug them from the wall. All my kitchen bits here, this is terrible. Do unplug them from the wall as well, just to make sure that you're isolating yourself. Once you get inside, you'll find a lot of these, because they were vented with the top here for the PA stage. And these outputs here, they get reasonably warm. No, lukewarm there, but we really haven't been. But you'll find there's a lot of crud and stuff in there. Look, we blow it out a lot of the time, to be honest. Let me just follow my own rules here. I said we'd unplug it, didn't we? Right, okay. Let's unplug them both, just in case I've got the wrong one. You never know. Anyway, in theory, no power connected. I'm just going to give that a wipe, but we'll basically blow this out as well, just to get any crud. But yeah, this is the reason you definitely want to unplug. Back in the old days, this is the problem. A lot of the connections here that you would expect to be, to have some sort of sheath or something over them to protect them, they weren't. Unfortunately, a lot of them were, were live, and you need to be careful. Those active lines, whether you're in the US or whether you're in Australia, 240 volts here in Australia, 110 volts in the US, it will kill you. It will make you feel very bad at best. But yeah, anyway, so basically blow out the boards. If you see any sort of looks of corrosion or anything, I mean, that's a next level issue, which, I can sort of discuss at some other stage. But generally, something like this there, normally not too bad. You'll find a lot of it is just, more surface stuff that you'll just look at and you'll have a look over after you've blown it out. We use a bit of isopropyl alcohol sometimes just to, really clean up well around the componentry, etc. Now, with this one here, all your controls are actually mounted on this board here with the power switch and the speaker switch, which they combine all in one on these behind. So a little bit harder to get to in some respects, but not really, not when you really start having a look at when I show you from another angle. Okay, so I've just got this on the side for the moment. There's 100 different ways you could run this to, get in to look at it. But as you can see, the potentiometer making the most noise is this fella here, and they're a dual gang. So basically, we're getting our deoxit, and we're getting a bit of deoxit into it. Don't need to put a lot. I'm probably putting a little bit too much in there because I'm one-handed at the moment. And obviously then give it a good twirl around and have a bit of a look at just, try to work in that deoxit D5. Remember, deoxit D5 is not just cleaning, but it is lubricating as well. And pretty much once you've done that, spun it around 100 times, you'll start to hopefully have some improvement. Or equally, you want to do the same with the power switch, speaker switch here, because that'd be right. My can's getting a bit I'm actually just about out of deoxit here. That would be right. A little bit coming out. That would always be right, wouldn't it? Anyway, okay, enough to do this job. But seriously, time to. I think we've got 3 other cans in the workshop, but I've grabbed the one that is nearly out of action. Okay, so pretty much, I won't go through it, but I'm actually going to get in there and spray in there. You can see all the other little controls as well. We give them a spray. They don't really need it. They're pretty good, to be honest. Seriously, you don't need to get to the stage of having to actually probably get a better view through. No, you can't really. No. Anyway, through here you can see that they're on the other side of this board. Most of those were actually pretty good, but if it's been 30 years or so since this thing's had a look at, it doesn't hurt to hit it with a bit of the stuff here for sure. So once again, deoxit D5, it makes really stupid electronics people look very smart like myself, so it's quite good. Okay, bit of a scratchy signal because we're just on a little bit of wire here, but as you can see, volume, we've now lost that whole scratchiness to it just by spraying it. Amazing. Let me just turn that down for a minute, but it's such an easy thing to do. Once again, do these other controls. We did all those just to make sure, and we'll put a few screws back in this, and you've got a piece of equipment that, once again, sounds nice, works well. We did spray the switches as well, just to get that out, but yeah, sorry, we are getting a little bit of hash because of the station that's not the best. Sorry, the answer to you can't, unfortunately, put commercial stuff on YouTube. They'll pick up on it, and that's why the music only and no sort of hip hop or anything. Anyway, all right, that's just a quick look at the Sansui number 1, because these are becoming, if you've got these tucked away in your shed somewhere, whether you're in the US or in Australia, sort of certainly think about very seriously the fact that, they could be worth a couple of bucks. Sometimes not huge, don't get me wrong, there are some models that are worth more, but some of the top brands that, especially some of the polished aluminium front gear, we find this with the CB radio gear. Actually, just for Pete's benefit, one last little CB radio thing, hang on. Pete, this is just for your benefit. This is a little collection that we have in here. Now, basically this here is all mainly just communications, radio communications. So what you're looking at is just, this is only a very small part of it. We've got another 80 by 40 American barn full of this sort of stuff. But anyway, this is slowly but surely becoming the area that will kind of put a bit of stuff on show, etc., etc. But as you can see, far from it at the moment. What I wanted to bring up was recently Pete got one of these in, just a bit of education. Serial number on the front, absolutely. What you were seeing on the front of yours was a call sign that someone's elected to put on there. A lot of people did actually print on the serial number plate the call sign. Okay. Yours was a little bit different on the fact that you had Golden Eagle, a static written on the back. Some do, some. There's so many models of statics, but just so you know, they're actually called an static. The D104, you're 100% correct on that. We would have over 30 of these here, 30 or 40, sitting on the racks here. And yeah, and I think you paid about $80 odd for the gold one. Now, they do vary a bit. They really do, depending on serial number and lots of things. But from memory, if I followed your show correctly, you ended up getting about 240, somewhere around there, I think. Maybe it was either 240 or 280. When you convert the dollar, that's about right, Pete. Seriously, over here in Australia, this here would sell for about $500 Australian. Dollar's about 30% down on yours. By the time you freight it over to Australia, trust me, that'd cost every bit of $120 to US to freight over. So, yeah, your market, you probably got that one pretty right. But I just wanted to sort of show you that because, I mean, I know you're not a comms expert, and comms is sort of what we do here. I'm retired, but, obviously we're a bit dedicated to some of the rubbish that we've got here. A lot of old American chassis here that, really, and maybe I should do you a video, Pete, of the ones to look out for that are worth the big money. If a CB radio comes in, mate, and it's white, grab it, buy it. If one comes in, it's got the word tram on it, like this, buy it, mate. The D201s, 201As, etc. Look, I could go through a lot of them. We might do a separate video on that, but and maybe just one just for you personally, just to sort of help you a bit. Once again, the Robins, anything that's 1970s, massive dollars. I've got a lot of other examples of these too, but anyway. All right, well, I'll get back to what I was doing. I just thought this was a bit of a side thing to show you. All right, so we're back inside. Sorry about that little side trip, but for Pete over there in the US, it's sort of important for him to get a look at what the other half of the world's doing for a bit of fun. And thanks very much for having a look. And just all credit to Pete over there in Illinois. He probably knows exactly how to service these things. He probably would be fine, but I just thought it was a good example of getting some publicity over here in Australia for Pete. And if you get a chance, I'll put all the details in the description how to access Pete's YouTube videos and bits. I've learned a lot from him, absolutely, no question. What I thought was junk and should be thrown in the bin, he has changed my mind on that, so maybe you should have a look at some of his videos too. So I'll put some links in the description. Okay, all the best. Sansui. Not quite a CB radio or an amateur radio like we normally do, but hey, something different's always good. All the best. 73s. Cheers from Brenton, Tangambalanga, Northeast Victoria, Australia.